Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri said the energy sector is one of the economic sector's largest contributors of carbon emission. He said this justifies the need for investment in new energy fields that should be clean, low cost and sustainable in order to support efforts to decrease repercussions of climate change and green economy transition. Speaking at the session on Tuesday dubbed the Energy Day, Shukri said transition to green energy has become not only a necessity to face climate change, but also an economic choice full of benefits given the current geopolitical circumstances and the ensuing global energy crisis. Shukri said it is necessary that transition to new energy resources is just, which means taking into consideration social and economic circumstances in developing nations, among them African countries. He said that Africa's developing nations are short of clean and affordable clean energy for their peoples, despite their tremendous potentials in renewable energy production. During the COP27 Energy Day activities on Tuesday, head of the 77th round of the UN General Assembly said the COP27 is a chance to close the gap between promises and implementation through pledging curbs to carbon emissions and upgrading rehabilitation measures to counter damages and up finances. He expressed hope for initiatives to be scientifically based on to face climate change and counter carbon emissions, and said all parties must commit to endorsing the conference's recommendations. He said the Water and Food Initiative for Sustainable Energy is of utmost importance. And the African Union Commissioner Musa Mohamed Faki addressed the COP27 activities on Tuesday. In a speech on his behalf read out by Dr. Amani Abu Zaid, the EU's Infrastructure and IT Commissioner stressed the need for sustainable clean energy for sustainable climate in the world and sustainable global economy. Faki thanked the international community for the continuous efforts to face climate change crisis. And UN Climate Change Conference COP27 continued its activities in Sharm el-Sheikh on Tuesday. The day's activities are being held under the dedicated to energy issues. Energy Day aims to review fair transition of energy in Africa and energy security in light of current crises. It also focuses on finding innovative and technological solutions and laying down green hydrogen policies, mechanisms for activating green economies and financing transition to clean energy. Also top the agenda of Energy Day. COP27 Tuesday sessions are also entitled Civil Society Day, as climate action needs the participation of all parties, stressing the importance of the civil society as a partner in global efforts to combat climate change. The Civil Society Day also aims to involve the civil society in the agenda of international work to face climate change and guarantee emerging points of view, in addition to active communication and development of partnership chances. And the European Union vowed at UN climate talks on Tuesday that it will strengthen its carbon-cutting commitment, insisting that the bloc was not backtracking in the face of Ukrainian war. Details follow.
The EU vowed to step up its emissions cuts at UN climate talks on Tuesday, as developing nations admonished rich polluters for falling short on efforts to help them cope with global warming. The COP27 conference in Egypt has been dominated by calls for wealthy nations to fulfill pledges to fund the green transitions of poorer countries least responsible for global emissions, build their resilience, and compensate them for climate-linked losses. The meeting comes as global emissions are slated to reach an all-time high this year, making the aspirational goal of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial levels even more elusive. European Commission Vice President Frans Timmermans told delegates that the European Union will update its climate commitment, as it will be able to exceed its original plan to cut emissions by 55% by 2030. The 27-nation bloc will now be able to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 57% from 1990 levels. The invasion of Ukraine by fossil fuel exporter Russia has cast a shadow over the talks in Egypt, which activists accusing Europeans of seeking to tap Africa for natural gas following Russian supply cuts. But Timmermans denied that the 27-nation bloc was in a dash for gas in the wake of the Ukraine conflict. COP27 has exposed deep divisions between wealthy polluters and nations vulnerable to the most ferocious climate impacts.
A Palestinian killed 2 Israelis and wounded 4 others in an attack in a settlement in the occupied West Bank on Tuesday, before he was shot and killed by Israeli occupation forces. The Magen